Welcome back to the fourth season of Spidell's Federal Tax Minute podcast. I'm your host, Catherine Zidane, the editorial director at Spidell, and this week we're covering tax legislation focused on improving IRS services. We'll be covering these bills in greater detail, along with TCJA extension legislation, at Spidell's post-tax season update and review webinar. You can get registered at one of 4 dates in May at spidell.com under webinars. In addition to the debate around the extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and other tax reform provisions, Congress is working on a variety of tax administrative relief provisions. The House has passed 5 IRS administrative bills, 4 of them unanimously. These bills have not yet been taken up by the Senate, but the provisions contained in these bills are included in the draft of the Senate's Taxpayer Assistance and Service Act. The Electronic Filing and Payment Fairness Act would extend the mailbox rule for filing paper returns and paying taxes to apply to electronic filings and payments. This means that a federal tax document or payment that is electronically submitted to the IRS would be considered delivered to the IRS on the date the document or payment is sent. The Internal Revenue Service Math and Taxpayer Help Act would require the IRS to provide much more specific information on notices involving a mathematical or clerical error. For example, the IRS would be required to provide a clear description of the actual error rather than a listing of possible errors, as well as how the correct amount was calculated and how a taxpayer can request an abatement of the tax. The Recovery of Stolen Checks Act would allow taxpayers to receive tax refunds or payments from the IRS by direct deposit if the amounts are issued as a result of a lost or stolen check. Currently, the IRS is required to reissue a lost or stolen check with another paper check. Although a recent executive order also directs the U.S. Treasury Secretary to develop a plan over the next 180 days to phase out the use of paper checks entirely. This would apply to both the IRS's payments of tax refunds as well as taxpayers' tax payments to the IRS. The Filing Relief for Natural Disasters Act would authorize the IRS to postpone federal tax deadlines for taxpayers affected by a qualified state-declared disaster if a request is made by the state governor. Currently, the IRS can only authorize disaster-related filing and payment postponements for federally declared disasters. In addition, the bill would increase the automatic extension of the federal filing and payment deadlines from 60 days to 120 days. The Disaster-Related Extension of Deadlines Act would extend the period to file a claim for refund or credit for a taxpayer who qualifies for a filing or payment postponement due to a federally declared disaster. Under current law, although taxpayers may qualify for a postponement to file a refund claim, the look-back period for claiming a refund is not similarly extended. This has prevented taxpayers who timely file a refund claim under the disaster postponement provisions from claiming refunds of payments made more than 3 years previously. This has been a big issue for taxpayers who are seeking refunds of withholding taxes or estimated taxes, which under the current look-back rule are considered paid as of the original due date of the return, for example, April 15, 2025, even though the payment date was postponed. Sign up for Spidell's quarterly federal tax update webinar, and you'll get reliable and pertinent updates on trending tax topics. Get details on this subscription webinar series and register for a full year of updates or just the upcoming April 23rd session at spidell.com under webinars. That's all for this week. Join us next time for another episode of Spidell's Federal Tax Minute.